Hello and welcome to North Country Matters. My name is Donna Seymour. I'm a member of the St. Lawrence County League of Women Voters, one of the civic partners for our show. My guest today is Dale Rice. Dale is the director of the newly renamed North Country Small Business Development Center at SUNY Canton. We're going to be talking about the important work the center does to assist small businesses to get started and enhance their services here in the North Country. Dale, welcome to North Country Matters. It's a pleasure to have you as a guest on the show to talk about your work and how you provide assistance to small businesses here in the North Country.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It's great timing. We've got a lot of interesting things going on with the SBDC these days. So I
Yeah,
appreciate the time.
so that was great timing on both our parts, I think. So thank you. So Dale, we always ask new guests to tell us a little bit about themselves and how they came to be doing the work that they are doing. So tell us your story, please.
Sure. So I'm originally from Buffalo. I came up to the North Country to go to school and never left. So I've been up here longer than I was in Buffalo. After college, I went to school at SUNY Canton and then finished up at Potsdam, got my MBA at Clarkson. But when I went into the work field, I started doing investments. Then I got into lending, and I didn't like saying no, and I didn't like collecting when people didn't make their payments. So it was a perfect job for me when this job opened up at the Small Business Development Center when the center became its own regional center back in 1998, and been here ever since.
Great. Well, your story is like a lot of people's story who come up here for school and then decide you like the North Country. So I certainly can appreciate that. So you recently renamed your agency. Tell us why you did that and how the new name helps to explain your mission.
Yeah, so the New York State SBDC has 20 centers, regional centers throughout the state. We cover most of the North Country. We have 7 counties. And our goal or our mission really is to help all small businesses and help everybody in New York State. Um, our host campus, SUNY Canton, they're committed to economic development, not just in Canton, but the entire North Country. So it just made sense to change the name to better reflect who we serve.
Sure, that certainly makes sense. So you talk about who you serve. Why don't you tell us about the counties that your services cover and who you're designed to help?
Yeah, so our host is SUNY Canton, so our main office is at SUNY Canton. Um, we have outreach centers throughout the whole North Country, but we serve 7 counties, so it's I always forget, so I wrote it down. St. Lawrence, Franklin County, Clinton County, Essex, Hamilton, Warren, and Washington. So I tell people from St. Lawrence County over to Plattsburgh, and then kind of down the north way to about Warrensburg. It's kind of our territory. So we have a huge geographic area to cover.
You do, and with the exception of Plattsburgh, there aren't really any big cities in your area, are they? They're all, for the most part, smaller communities.
Yeah, we have a lot of outreach offices. One of my business advisors goes to Akwesasne once a week, sometimes more, meets at the economic development office. We have great partners throughout the North Country that give us space. So for Franklin County, we've got a bunch of offices there. There's space in Plattsburgh, Ticonderoga Chamber, pretty much any town that we service clients and we have confidential space that we can see, and they're not fully staffed, but we make appointments as needed and go there.
So that means that you're really being very, very responsive to the businesses in your area, but not making them come to you. You are able to go to them, correct?
We try. The center, one of the first SBDCs in New York State. At one point, we had 24 centers. The very first center was at Plattsburgh. Um, and a little bit before COVID, they decided to drop the program. So SUNY Canton, we took over that office. So for years, we had an office at Plattsburgh State University, and then most recently at Clinton Community College. But we just don't have the staff to justify having an office open 40 hours a week. So now we're trying to do everything either remote with virtual counseling or at one of our partners' offices to meet with clients.
Well, virtual counseling has been really one of the outcomes of the COVID crisis, hasn't it? Certainly, that's the way we do North Country Matters, and that's why we started doing it this way. So it really is a great way to meet people where they are and save on a tremendous amount of transportation time.
Even when we were just SUNY Canton covering St. Lawrence County and Franklin County, we struggled seeing our clients and making everybody come to SUNY Canton. And we tried to do virtual counseling and we weren't ready yet. And I don't think our clients were ready yet. But once COVID happened, we didn't really have a choice. And since COVID, the majority of our clients are requesting virtual.
So, again, it's one of those unexpected outcomes, I think, from a crisis that sometimes has a happy ending. Let's talk
Yeah.
a little bit, Dale, about the services you provide. Walk us through a typical process so people can get a sense of what to expect if they make an appointment with one of your counselors.
Yeah, we have a wide range of services that we offer, and I think during COVID it was for a long time we were just kind of known as a place to go for a business plan, and that's definitely our bread and butter. And a lot of what we do is help people develop a business plan. So, let's say somebody goes to their bank, they want to open up a convenience store, and they apply for a loan, and the bank doesn't think they're ready, and they need a business plan. So the bank will send them to us, and we'll help them write their business plan. We don't write the business plan for the client. We want to make sure that they take ownership in it. So I tell my clients, we'll help you as much or as little as you need writing a business plan. And then once the business plan's done with financial projections, we usually send them back to the funding source or look for additional funding sources for them. A lot of people will just call, will get referrals from the county clerk. Someone filed their doing business as certificate, and the county clerk's great about sending people our way to make sure that they know what they're getting into and help them with their tax ID number, just basic startup information. And we have, we help some clients just with marketing. Some people just want someone else to take a look at their books and see what's going on financially, e-commerce. We have a lot of specialty programs. We're starting to get more into counseling with AI, cybersecurity, international trade, helping businesses get certification. So really anything you can think of that a business at any stage wants assistance with, we're here to help.
And certainly for someone who is just beginning to think about starting up a new business, all of those services are really critical because they may be things that people haven't actually thought they had to have in place before they went to the bank, are they?
Yeah, we try the majority of the people that come in here, what we try and do is we kind of play devil's advocate. And we challenge them to make sure that it's the right time, the right business idea for them to go into business. And a lot of times the conversations will change the direction of their business one way or the other. Or maybe they won't go try so, have a expensive building and hire a bunch of people. Maybe they'll start out smaller. So we have a lot of different conversations with clients to make sure that it's the right situation for them.
Well, given the statistics about how many businesses fail in the first year that are new startup businesses, it sounds like what you're really doing is doing a great prevention program so that people who really are committed to starting a business won't fall into those traps and fail.
Yeah, and I always, I don't. It was an old statistic that we used a long time ago. So I don't even want to throw it out there because I don't know how accurate it is. But there was a study done with people working with the SBDC, and the success rate was huge. And I tell people it's not because we're the most brilliant people in the world. It's because of the process. And going through that whole process, a lot of things get uncovered that you might not think about. So the ones that do go through the whole process and maybe develop the business plan and financial projections, a lot of people don't get to that end stage where they finish their business plan. They realize it's not the right idea for them. So the ones that do, their chances of success are much higher, and it's just because they went through the process and did their homework.
Yeah, that sounds like great advice. So you provide your services free of charge to your clients, which is a critical part of a startup business because you don't have a lot of money to pay for those kinds of services. Where does your funding come from that allows you to do this work?
Okay, our two primary sources of funding come from the state of New York and from the federal government. So on the state side, we get funding through the state and it gets administered through SUNY. We also get funds through the Small Business Administration, so that's our federal match. and then locally through our host campus. So in my situation, it's SUNY Canton. The 20 centers in New York State are all at some type of university, but they're not all SUNY schools. The majority of them are, but we do have a couple privates.
Okay, so I guess this is a good question to ask right now when we are seeing such a tremendous pullback from the federal government on funding all kinds of things. What percentage of the funding for your operation comes from the federal government? And if that dropped off tomorrow, would you still be able to offer your services?
We'd be in trouble, and I hope we don't get to that point. Um, I think we're pretty fortunate throughout. Times are a lot different now than they have been, but throughout the 20 plus years that I've been here, there's always been budget challenges either on the state or the federal level. And we've been pretty fortunate to escape drastic cuts. I think a lot of it is because we show results. We track the economic impacts. So when we're talking to the legislators about the SBDC program, we can give them firm information that's verified from the client. How much how much they invested in the project, how many jobs were created and saved. So I think fortunately for us, we're valued from the state, we're valued from the federal government. And everyone's for small business. It's not a partisan issue. Everyone is pro small business. So we've been fortunate. Yeah, we've been looking at the federal situation, but we fully expect to continue to be funded and moving forward.
Well, you make a great point about how important small business is to the local economies, because for the most part, we do have some, big businesses here. Education is one, healthcare is another, but the bread and butter of a lot of jobs in the North Country are from small mom and pop type operations, aren't they?
They sure are, and that's the majority. Well, we have to see. We're required to only see small businesses, but there's so many small businesses throughout the state, throughout the country. I think especially in the North Country, we really value our small businesses, like you said, because we don't have a lot of the larger businesses here. So they're even more important than you might see in a city.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit, Dale, about the staff you have to cover this broad area of service. Your clients, as you said, you don't always come to Canton. You meet them where they are. How many people are helping make that happen? What's your staffing look like?
Well, I'm glad we're having this conversation today and not a month ago. I have two new advisors starting next week. We have a new part-time advisor, part-time admin that started about a week ago. Um, so when we first started, we had four people in this office and four people in Plattsburgh. Once COVID hit, everybody in the Plattsburgh office, for all the reasons that you would have known through COVID to happen, happened to us. So we lost everybody that worked in that area. So right now, as of next week, we'll have 4.5 business advisors and myself.
So, what's the what kind of a background does a business advisor need to work for somebody like you? What's their what's kind of the resume for one of your staff members?
We vary. My background was in economics and business administration. I have two advisors that have been with the center for a long time. One has a literature degree. One has a regular counseling degree, not business related. So it
The
really
good old
varies.
liberal arts track, hey?
Yes, yeah. But we really look for people with business experience. So Jennifer in my office, she has a photography business on the side. Um, we in the past we've had business owners that have owned restaurants. So we try and get people with business experience, but really the main thing is people that really care about the community that they live in and serve, that really want to make a difference. We tend to get people that come to the SBDC. We're a not-for-profit organization. Most people that work at not-for-profits are there for the mission, not the payday at the end. So that's really kind of what we look for. We've been fortunate. We've had some great people in the past, and I'm really excited for the people that we're bringing on board next week.
All right, that sounds great. So, Dale, tell us a little bit about the economic development partnerships and programs in the North Country that you work with. I'm a board member of the St. Lawrence Child Care Council, and I know how much help you have been for people trying to establish new home-based child care provider programs. as you know, the North Country is a child care desert. So getting more small providers in operation is important to the overall business climate. People can't work if they don't have child care. So as an example of what you do, give us an illustration of how you help these folks with your services that are really targeted to their needs.
I'm glad you brought off that program. I absolutely love working on that program. I think our greatest strength in the North Country for economic development are the partnerships. We have some unbelievably talented individuals that work for some really great organizations, and everybody shares the same thing where they just want people to succeed and they want to improve the community. And that was a situation where it wasn't hard to find. I mean, we've always known that childcare was an issue. COVID really brought it to light where everybody was affected by it, I think, and people got on board. And it was great that we were able to pull all our partners together that I've worked with in the past on different things, to come together and really put out a program that had unbelievable results. The program started with Child Care Council providing the certification and getting them kind of set up that way. I provided business training. So we have a center down in Long Island who has an expert in childcare. She let me steal her slides and put SUNY Canton on there instead of Farmingdale. But there were slides tailored towards the childcare industry. And the whole goal of that program was to provide not just to open up new slots, which we accomplished quite a bit, but the focus was really building quality childcare centers. So we had some childcare centers that were already in existence that came to get better business background. And then the last part of the program was they were able to take a class at SUNY Canton free of charge in the early childhood program. So they were working on their professional development. But yeah, that's one of the programs I'm really proud of. And we partner with economic development agencies, Child Care Council, you name it, throughout the North Country. But that's a great example. That's probably my favorite project I've worked on in years.
So the message to people who are either thinking about starting a home-based childcare center or who have one and want to improve their business plan and their sense of how they operate, they can get a hold of you. You've got a kind of a ready-made program that you can slot them right into, don't you?
Yeah, and I've been working with child care centers since I started in 1998. So we have a lot of experience. We know what a tough industry. A lot of the providers, if not all of them, really don't look at their center as a business. They're there to help the children and help their community. But we try and put a focus on, yeah, you still need to do that, but you also need to focus on the business, focus on yourself to make sure you're getting paid enough, you're setting yourself up for retirement. So that's kind of where our part comes in, where we try and really focus on the business aspect of it.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people who get into that particular line of work, as you say, they think of it more of a service than they do as a business. And yet, if you don't make your business pay and you're not efficient with the way you use your resources, you're not going to be in business and you won't be able to provide the service. So the fact that you can help folks refine that part of their operation is really critical.
Yeah, there's such a need for that, and we're going to continue that. That program was funded through the American Rescue Program. So we got some funding through the county to do that. But we've already been in talks with the Child Care Council. We're going to continue to do that no matter if there's funding or not. Can you continue kind of building on the momentum that we built with that program?
Right. I think that's great. So Dale, as we start to wrap up, tell us how folks can get in touch with your agency to start the process of getting help that they need to either start or enhance the business that they have. Give us some information about how to get this whole thing going for themselves with all the services that you can provide.
Yeah, the easiest way is to give us a call at 315-386-7312. You'll talk to Ben or one of the business advisors, kind of get an idea what you're trying to do, and then come up with a game plan. They can go to our statewide website that has a link to book an appointment. That's just nysbdc.org, New York State Small Business Development Center.org. Or if they want, they can email me directly. It's just my last name, first initial at canton.edu. So I always explain it because it sounds goofy. It's RICED, RICED at canton.edu.
Well, thank you. I'll be sure to put all those links in our show notes. And I can't tell you how impressed I am with the work that you folks are doing and how important that work is to us who live here in the North Country, because we're a long way away from a lot of kinds of services that maybe the state would provide in a physical sense. And the fact that you're here and able to provide those services the way that you do is just a real leg up for people who are either in business or want to start a business. And it's great business climate up here, isn't it? Because we have great resources, and especially with the colleges, and we have dedicated, hardworking folks who are looking to make a difference.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm really fortunate. I tell everyone that'll listen. We have the most support I think we have in the network with our campus. Dr. Savran, my supervisor, Lenore Vanderzee, they provide so much support for us. They give us the office space. They handle all our money that comes in from the state and the federal government. But there's a lot more that they do. A lot of the projects that I work on, they're working on as well from the college standpoint. And we've been fortunate, with the tough budget times that the state and the federal government, when they have to make, cuts, they do, but they haven't been drastic enough to affect our day-to-day operations. And I expect that to continue.
Well, I certainly hope so, because you're doing a wonderful job up here. And if we're going to have small businesses thrive, this is exactly the kind of hand holding they need to make their operation run efficiently and successfully.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure to have somebody come in. I always say about the North Country that we are rich in resources, but sometimes we don't know what those resources are. So the fact that you've given us an opportunity to learn about the Small Business Development Center, I hope will drive some business towards you.
I appreciate it. We're fully staffed and ready to go, and we want to work with all New Yorkers, specifically in the 7 counties in the North Country. But that's what we're here to do, and we've got the resource and the capacity now. So send everyone my way, please.
I will do my best. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. These conversations are a production of North Country Matters. This show is a civic collaboration between the League of Women Voters of St. Lawrence County and the Potsdam Public Library. Until next time, remember, our North Country matters, and so do our small businesses.